See.
Well, like if I ask, what are some of the things that Filipinos do together or with the rest of the community? What kind of activities are they involved in?
I can't remember what these things are like. Yeah, well, just like when they have affairs here in the park or anything like that, or the art festivals and the fair, the state fair. Then they they don't cooperate in a way like doing something, but they like those selling things. They sell. That's what it is. That's what they do. I don't know.
Are there many nurses in Boise, Filipino nurses?
Uh, I know one one that I really know here in Boise, and some are retired already. So like, but they're in Nampa or something like that. But I know one here in Boise. It's a lady, Kalinata.
She is a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how about you?
Well, I was just like a nursing aide or something like that. But I have worked in the hospital for a long, long time.
But when by the time you came to Boise, were you
I was still working in California too. Hmm. Yeah, just to help him because you know how it is.
when did you when and where did you meet?
San Francisco.
Can you talk a little bit about
Oh yes.
your
Um, well, when when he came here in when he came in California, uh, you know how Filipinos are. They don't have a good job. They just get us bus boys and house boy and all that. See, and you can get a job right away. And at that time, he was uh, waiting on a table on a hospital and in a hospital hotel. You were
Hotel.
waiter in a hotel.
Yeah.
In a hotel, and
That's,
he goes to church, and I go to church, and we met at the church. That's where we met, the church. But we, when he comes to church, he when he the church is over, he leaves, and that is for a while, long time. I know him before that, long time, and we never even get together until when it was time, probably that we we have to meet.
you
Then
mean when fate
yes,
destined for you to meet,
yes,
then you met?
and yeah, and
what
that is
year
it.
was that?
When we first met, it was in 1932, and of course we were friends. We were friends, boyfriends, right? You could say boyfriends. And at that time, he was volunteering in this religious work, and I was really cooperating with him. And the uh, and the people think that it was really a nice pair to pair to be working like that. In fact, the volunteer work that he was doing, we had even more congregation than when we have our own church. So then we got married in 1936, and we were poor, at that time because he was going to in this seminary. He was going to the seminary. We were poor, and when we got married, uh, you can believe it. My town mates from Nueva Vizcaya. I'm from Nueva Vizcaya, Solana. They were the one who even sponsor our party so that we could get married and have a nice time. That is
And did you
something
have a nice time?
we did. We have a nice time, and we were married by a Presbyterian Filipino minister also.
No, why? Let me ask.
Mm.
Why is it you had a Filipino Presbyterian minister?
There was a Filipino Presbyterian minister, but it was not. He was not in. He was in Sacramento.
So what I'm trying to ask really is, were you in a situation where the Filipino Presbyterians were separate from the white American Presbyterian
No,
worshippers,
no.
or
It's just that we decided to have a group of our own, and then, like I said, the group that we have was intermarriages. They're Mexican and Japanese and all that stuff, and so well, he preached in English then at that time so that everybody will understand. There was a church, a Filipino church in Salinas and in San Jose. That's where he was stationed. San Jose, we were there for 10 years. Then he was transferred to Salinas for, we've been there for 18 years. Then he was there before you went to that seminary also to there was an old group that they started, but it was never it was never was not going on, so they sent him there to revive that before he went to the seminary. So all in all, he was really working almost say 1932 and all that.
so it sounds like he devoted his life,
Yes,
most of his
yes.
active working life to the church.
Yes.
I was wondering what years you folks came to this country. What year did you come to the United
He
States?
came in 1928, and I came in 1925.
With all of your family, or
No, I came with a nephew and a cousin.
and how did you get to come here? Can you talk about that a little bit?
See, I have a nephew that was here, and he came for a vacation, and he said
I mean, he went to
he came to the Philippines.
to the
for,
Ilocos.
Yeah,
Nueva Vizcaya.
Nueva Vizcaya.
Yes.
And he said that you know, in the in America, he says education is better there because you will have well, they call this A and B, you know, that he calls it to promotions. So I said, well, maybe I like to see how it was, you know. And of course, my parents did not agree of me coming, but my mind was just like a mind of a boy, young boy that I did not realize how sad I was until I really left my parents. So
This
okay.
was in the 1930s when you came. You
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Was it how difficult was it to come to the United States from the Philippines?
Oh, that
Then.
was very. It was easy. We have to ride on the boat.
It
The
was.
ship.
It was. Did you say it was easy or?
Yeah, there's nothing. You know, there's no questions. Like now, you know, like now you have to go.
So the immigration policies
there
was
was none.
relaxed.
There was none there at that time.
However, at the same time, at about that time, it was very difficult for the Chinese and the Japanese
That
to
time.
come to this country. Yes, about that time. And it's
In
very interesting that you point
yeah.
out it was
No,
easy.
when he came, my nephew came there, and all the rest. As long as we had the transportation, we came. We just came like you came from Moscow to here.
Is that the same for Reverend Callao?
Did you do that too?
Yeah.
Was it also easy for you to come to America?
Yes, come by myself,
I mean,
and then when I saw that I could do something better there than in the Philippines, so I stay I stayed in the place where I could go to school. See, because I was just alone by myself.
Like a
So
houseboy.
so I I got um, my I got somebody to be their house boy. See, so I got that job easy.
That's all the
And
work you can get anyway that time.
yeah, so when I was in the house boy, I I did not just do like that. I went to school. That's why I want to get school. I want to get a job in such a way that I couldn't go to school also. And that I have been little bit better, and then it's better for me because I could go to school that way.
Yes. How the people you work for? How did they treat you, or how was your relationship with these people?
Well, it's good. They did not have any prejudice prejudice
Prejudice.
that they as a matter of fact they helped me also in my school job.
At about that time, did you know any other people from Asia, like the Japanese and the Chinese?
Well,
Not that time.
not that time. It's only Filipinos are good in that kind of job because the Filipinos are coming there for education.
And money also. I
Yeah.
guess most of them really came for money.
Which is what many immigrants
Yes,
come for.
like when they, like in the 19th century, I say 1919, something like that. They have there were a group of Filipinos that were attracted to come to this country through Hawaii. They go Hawaii first, and they come this way, and that's how many Filipinos came here. And all they do when they have landed on those schoolboys and porters and what a little work that they can give, because that's all they can get.
That's all they can find.
They can find and get
No.
with little money.
Laura, excuse me, we gotta stop for a second. Okay.
Okay. What do you think brings people to Idaho?
I know. Well, what I know is most of them are in service, and when well, we have a base here, in Mountain Home, and whenever they retire, or even when they don't retire, they like to live here in Idaho, And then not only that, not only from these people from Idaho, from Mountain Home, there are many from other states, and they would be stationed to Idaho. I mean Boise, yeah. Then they come this way and live here. Many are retiring up here.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know why, but to me, when we decided to come to Idaho, well, being a small place, you feel more at home because you can, well, that is how I felt anyway. That's how I felt that I like a smaller place. You are away from so many activities, and all that. While in California, where we were, all you have is all these activities, like many other, like Oregon and Washington and
Like the other bigger cities.
yes, yes, and we cannot do that anymore. That's why it is okay that we were here.
We have heard that Filipinos have a very high intermarriage rate. Can you comment on
Yeah.
that?
That's what I can see. That's what I can see. Because my son is married to American, and my other son is married to a Japanese, and my other son is married to American. I mean, my daughter is married to American. They don't have the pictures here. Yeah, she's married to American. So that's what it is. They're all. I don't have any pure Filipino children.
Why do you think that is so?
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, good question.
I well, the reason. Well, I really can't say anything about that. But I think the reason is that we don't have many of our people in here, or I can say that because in the West Coast there are many Filipinos. See, but I really don't know because that's going on. But you see, when he was still a minister in California, the early part of his ministry, they did not allow marriages, intermarriages like that.
Yeah.
So,
that's
so he cannot marry. So we have been bringing these people who wants to marry another nationality to Reno. In fact, we have brought about 7 of them.
Is that so? When you say they, can you clarify that? Who would not allow intermarriage?
The law in California.
In California?
California. Maybe in United States. I didn't know how. I didn't know this part. Yeah, but in California they didn't. It was not allowed for intermarriages. So he cannot marry them.
So Reverend Callao and you would take them to Reno?
Yes. And
That's
we did
interesting.
that.
Well, how did you feel about the intermarriage? What do you think of intermarriage?
Well, so far, like I have been talking to him, that in my observation here, all those, there are many that we know who are as good as when they are Filipinos or they're Americans. It's themselves. See, there are many that I know that we deal with that they have the best husbands. They have they're the best husbands in the American side. Like this lady that I said who calls us Ma and Pa. He is really very good. And there are many more that I can quote, but they are really something. They're very good. They love their wives. They respect their wives. Just be Filipinos, darker colors, and but they love them, and they're really proud about them.
As grandparents, how do you feel about your grandchildren being raised perhaps more in an American way than in a Filipino way?
No, to me, I really raised my grandchildren the way the Filipinos are.
Oh,
And like those, see, like those kids, my daughters think see, my daughter being the only girl in my family, and she came also at a late period. I had taken care all her three children from birth. Well, except Marisa. She was 7 months when my daughter started to work. And I took care of her. And the twins, I took care of them when they were 6 weeks because she cannot have longer leave for, for that. So I raised them until they were almost 3 years old, those twins. They're now 7.
So what do you mean when you say you raise them just like you would raise them? I mean that you raise them in the Filipino
Yeah,
way.
well, what I meant is uh, how I treat my children. That's the way I treated them. And the father, the father had, well, I didn't say he has no say, but he never had a say, how I treated my grandchildren. If I scold the children in front of him, that's fine, because they're my children. And that's it. And he is so good about that. And same thing with my other boys. That's the way I treat them all. But in the other,
Excuse me,
go on.
we're at a tape. I have to change tape again.